Thank you, Chief Secretary. Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. The first item that we discussed in Cabinet today is from the Minister of Health and Child Care, Honorable Dr. Douglas Mombeshora, who updated Cabinet on the cholera outbreak situation and the responses. The nation is informed that as at 13 February 2024, Zimbabwe's cumulative suspected cholera cases were 24,332, and a number of measures have been put in place by the government of Zimbabwe, which also includes the distribution of water treatment chemicals at the point of use, training of water point committees, demonstrations on hand washing, setting up of oral rehydration points, engagement with religious leadership, and raising awareness on health education programs. The nation is also informed that as at the 13th of February 2024, the country had administered 1,585,000 vaccines, and the targeted provinces with 90% being the coverage, whilst Harare is at 73.4% in terms of vaccination, whilst efforts continue in terms of Harare Metropolitan Province. Furthermore, efforts are already underway to procure an additional 6.3 million vaccines in order to cover additional hotspots. The administration of the 1,585,000 is focusing primarily on hotspots, which is now registered in terms of the targeted hotspots and the targeted province, with a coverage of not more than 90%, while Harare, as I've indicated, is at 73.4%. In light of the foregoing, Cabinet reiterated the need to adhere to cholera preventive measures as follows: ensuring provision of safe, clean water to all communities, improving sanitation facilities in both urban and rural areas, regulating food vending in all urban areas, sustainable refuse removal and management systems, and monitoring and supervising religious gatherings for religious and funeral purposes in non-hotspots until the situation normalizes. The Minister of Environment, Climate and Wildlife, Honorable N.M. Ndlovu, updated Cabinet on the 28th Conference of Parties, which was held in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates from the 30th of November to the 12th of December 2023. The nation is advised that the decision to establish a loss and damage fund, which had been adopted at COP27, was capitalized at COP28 with a fund which exceeded US $792 million. Zimbabwe is in the process of coming up with a loss and damage framework in order to prepare the country for accessing the global fund. Resources from carbon trading can resource this framework. The nation is advised that a call was made by developing countries for developed countries to double adaptation finance. The COP28 developed a framework on the global goal on adaptation, which also outlines targets for 2030 to address water security, climate resilient food production, and enhancing health and infrastructure resilience. The Ministry of Environment, Climate and Wildlife has developed a national adaptation plan meant to guide mainstreaming of climate change in development planning in order to build and ensure the country's resilience to climate change. Cabinet would also like to report that a call was made also by parties and participants to come up with sustainable, just, resilient, and nature-positive food systems that seek to keep the temperature rise to within 1.5 degrees target by recognizing that 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions stem from food systems. It was also reported that Zimbabwe is also already promoting food security and nutrition by increasing efforts to support vulnerable farmers. Cabinet would also like to underline the importance that was reached in terms of the consensus at the COP28 for the world to transition away from fossil fuels in energy systems in a just, orderly, and equitable manner by accelerating action in this critical decade so as to achieve net zero emissions by the year 2050. Zimbabwe emphasized that the transition should be just and that it should recognize the principle of common but differentiated circumstances, with the developed countries taking the lead in transitioning whilst allowing for Africa to reach her development peak before being pressured to transition. The outcome also included an agreement to triple the world's renewable energy capacity and to double its energy efficiency by the year 2030. In addition, the COP28 decision called on countries to accelerate emissions reduction from road transport through a variety of pathways, and not only zero emission vehicles, but also a model shift to public transport and safe recycling infrastructure programs. The nation is informed that the COP28 is a milestone for Zimbabwe in setting the tone for food security, agriculture, and climate action. The effort will be sustained through ensuring that decisions are made in future will align with COP and also towards focus on investments in science, technology, and capacity building. It is highlighted that this approach will increase the adaptive capacity of local people who are affected by climate change. Furthermore, the COP28 is particularly momentous as it marked the conclusion of the first global stocktake of the world efforts to address climate change under the Paris Agreement. Cabinet would like to advise that the government of Zimbabwe also secured a pavilion space at COP28 codenamed the Zimbabwe Climate Action Hub. The main objective of having the pavilion was to provide a platform for Zimbabwe to showcase and raise awareness on the country's climate action initiatives, to foster collaboration with the international partners, to mobilize financial and technical resources for climate action, and to drive collective action towards addressing the global climate crisis. The pavilion hosted a number of critical events across all the country's sectors, showcasing our progress and areas of possible investment. Cabinet considered and approved the memorandum on the update on the preparations for the 2024 Independence Anniversary and the Children's Party celebrations, which was presented by the Honorable Vice President, Honorable KCD Mohadi, who is also the chairman of the Cabinet Committee on State Occasions and National Monuments. The nation is informed that the 2024 Independence Anniversary celebrations and the Children's Party celebrations will be held in Manicaland Province. The 2024 Independence Anniversary and the Children's Party celebrations will run under the theme ZIM at 44 Unity, Peace and Development towards Vision 2030. The nation is also informed that preparations for the 2024 Independence Anniversary and the Children's Party are on course, with the roadworks and civil works expected to commence soon. Cabinet also received an update on the preparations for the 2024 National Youth Day celebrations, which was presented by the Honorable Vice President, Honorable KCD Mohadi, as the chairman of the Cabinet Committee on State Occasions and National Monuments. The nation has advised that the National Youth Day celebrations will be held in Masvingo Province at Mushagashe Youth Vocational Training Center on Wednesday, 21 February 2024, under the theme Positioning Youth Empowerment and Development towards Achieving Vision 2030. Preparations for the event are well on course, with adequate logistical arrangements for the mobilization and transportation of the youths having been finalized. The National Youth Day is celebrated annually in order to recognize youths and to reflect on their contributions to the country's development and to encourage them to adopt good leadership values through emulating the forebearers who fought for the country's independence. The youths constitute 64% of the country's population, and the National Youth Day celebrations will enable the youth and the government to take stock of the empowerment programs that have been achieved to date, and also to engage on community-specific change projects. The event also provides young people with opportunities for ownership, accountability, responsibility, and sustainability of initiatives, whilst ensuring that we leave no one and no place behind. The objectives of the 2024 National Youth Day celebrations are as follows: to celebrate the National Youth Day, to identify and unlock the socio-economic potential of youth through building the capacity of young people, to identify and unlock socio-economic opportunities for youth by engaging policymakers in key sectors of the economy, and to harness the youth dividend towards achievement of Vision 2030, and to increase awareness, commitment, and investment in youth development initiatives, programs, and projects. The National Day will also host an economic dialogue platform during which a youth representative will make a presentation on issues affecting the youth. The economic dialogue will bring together about 30,000 youths from all provinces of our country. And the President, His Excellency Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, will be the guest of honor. Foreign delegates from South Africa, Namibia, Mozambique, and Tanzania are expected to grace the occasion. Cabinet also received the report on His Excellency the President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa's visit to Maun, Botswana, as presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Dr. Frederick Shaba. The nation is informed that His Excellency the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, led a delegation to Botswana from the 8th to the 11th of February 2024 at the invitation of his counterpart from Botswana, His Excellency President Masisi. The two principals co-chaired the 4th session of the Binational Commission between Zimbabwe and Botswana on the 9th of February 2024. And the key highlights of the Binational Commission included the following: the signing of the agreement on gainful employment of spouses and dependents of diplomatic and consular staff aimed at removing labor market restrictions on the employment of spouses and dependents of accredited embassy and consular staff on reciprocal basis. The Business Forum, which provided the captains of industry, micro, small and medium enterprises an opportunity to interact and explore business opportunities among each other. The adoption of new important areas of cooperation, such as the domain of geospatial and space technology. I thank you.
At the moment, we have initiated the processes, and we are in communication with the Treasury, and they've said they are able to procure for us 2.3 million, so that those who got the initial first dose get the second dose, and they are adequately covered at least for 3 years. But our requirement is a further 6.6 million doses, so that we have enough coverage for the whole country. We'll be able to cover every hotspot, but I think we're going to be doing it in stages. So the process is now ongoing. We have secured the 2 million doses so far with the distributors, and we have also spoken to the manufacturers to say, can they spare something for us. They have said that from now up to end of March, everything has been booked by WHO, but we're also talking to WHO to see if they can give us some more doses. But for us as Zimbabwe, they said we could actually get the next doses in April. So the challenge is, even if we would have loved to have them now, but because of limited production, we can't have them now. We are using a vaccine called Uvicol, which is manufactured in South Korea, and they are supplying 80% of the market. And I was presenting today to say actually the cases have increased from December 2022 to December 2023. The cases in our region only, there were now 667,000 cases with more than 4,000 deaths. So it's not only Zimbabwe that is now competing for these vaccines. We understand other countries surrounding us are also pressing to get the vaccines. So the earlier we do the processing of payments, the better for us. So I think everything is on course at the moment for us to be fully covered for those vaccinations that we've started. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. The first item will be finalized next week in terms of the venue, in terms of independence celebrations, but it will be held in Manicaland province. The next two questions to the Minister of Health and Childcare, Dr. Mbeshora. The first from NRTV about what could be the issue related to the cholera cases going down, and the second nation of ideas. Dr. Mbeshora, if you could respond to the two questions.
Thank you. The first question is about the decrease in fatalities. This also is linked with the decrease in numbers that we are seeing. several factors would come into play here. Cholera is more linked with increases in cases during the rain season. If you remember when we had floods in Budiriro, Glenview area, and Botswana area, there was a shoot up in number of cases. But also the dry spell could actually be to our advantage, although on the agricultural sector they may complain, because now there is no water which is contaminating, because the water would wash away sewer into our water sources. We ended up seeing bowls being contaminated. But also the interventions that we've done to say any water source is treated as contaminated, and therefore we have been treating all potable water at the point of source to make sure that even those who don't want to treat their water in the homes, they also get water which has already been treated. That also reduces the spread of infection. The other interventions that we've done that include health education in the communities, also we could actually attribute them to that. That health education has actually helped us, because we see that we are no longer getting community deaths because people are seeking medical attention at the health institution, as opposed to when the cholera started. A lot of those religious objectors, there were community deaths. Almost more than 90% of deaths were taking place in the communities. Now that has gone down as well. So we say thanks to the health education, that targeted approach where we've been talking to the community leaders, both political leaders, church leaders, traditional leaders, it helps. Then lastly, it would also be the vaccine, because the decrease just started, we just started seeing it in the last week or so, and we had started our vaccination on the 29th of January. We were giving at least 2 weeks to see the results. We are still monitoring those who are coming from the areas that have been vaccinated. Have now said we must check whether the people that are presenting with cholera, have they been vaccinated? If not, what are the reasons? Is it because the vaccines that we gave were not enough? This is why we are also trying to target to give everyone in an area that has had cholera, irrespective of the numbers. But initially we had targeted a few people in certain districts and wards because we did not have enough vaccines. So I think all these factors that I've mentioned are helping to reduce the cases, including the vaccination that we've started. Thank you for that question. Now, going to the issue of the extraordinary summit of health ministers that took place, and followed by the extraordinary summit for the heads of state also, which took place. The heads of state actually adopted our recommendations in terms of collaboration, cross-border collaboration. In Zimbabwe, we have already been doing the cross-border collaborations with our health facilities along, especially our border with Mozambique, and to a lesser extent our border with Zambia. The Zambian border, most cases are coming through controlled points, which are our the Kariba and Chirundu border posts. We have what we call health posts there, and they tend to screen people who are coming in and going out. But when people are coming in, they take a short history to find out if anyone has had a contact with cholera infected people, and then necessary steps can be taken to screen if necessary. We have several meetings taking place, but not involving ministers as such, but the provincial medical directors, they actually have meetings with their counterparts on the other side of the borders continuously. This has not been only during cholera outbreak, but it's an ongoing arrangement that we do communicate with our neighbors to to know what is happening on the other side, and also to know how we can help prevent crossing diseases moving from one border to the other. As you know, diseases know no borders. Recently, we had also an AU meeting in Addis. I came back on Sunday, and also we discussed a lot on cholera issues, sharing ideas on how we can control not only cholera, but the outbreaks that are affecting us as the African region. We have the Ebola in the western part of the region, and countries share ideas on how to deal with these emergencies. So it's an ongoing process. I think it's a good process where we share ideas. Actually, if you attend those meetings, you come up with new ideas of dealing with